Hi friends. So in this video we are going to discuss how Djokovic and Nadal have changed their games to beat each other. Now these guys have played each other more than 50 times and now they know their games in and out. And over the years they have made a lot of changes to their strategy and tactics as well as their physical abilities improved upon the various aspects of the game, and now they know each other's games very well, and it just comes down to the player who plays well on that specific day, turns out to be the winner. So in today's video we'll discuss all the factors that have been very helpful in their game, as well as we'll talk how over the years this part of their game has changed. So let's begin. So, firstly, Djokovic and Nadal started playing against each other in 2006, right about the time when Nadal was winning the French Open regularly and Djokovic was up and coming player. He was struggling with a lot of physical issues back then, and he was retiring from a lot of matches. But then he had a very good forehand, a very good backhand, but his net game was not there. And we'll see some of the slides, we'll see some of the screenshots from some of the matches, just to highlight how their games have actually changed in this career and over the years, how they have actually improved and managed to come out of the weaknesses that they initially had. So let's start off. And I think this is one of the first videos where this is a match from 2008. I think it's from Hamburg, and you can see that Djokovic in this screen has hit a very good forehand, and Nadal is struggling to and running to reach on his backhand side. And the black dots here you can easily see. I mean, this is the path that Nadal has to cover to get to the ball. And initially in this time, we can say that Djokovic was not playing very well at the net, so he was actually avoiding uh, any chances to come to the net, and hence it was making more difficult for him to close points. And Nadal, because of his speed and his agility back then, was getting almost all the balls back into the court and was making it really tough for Djokovic to win a point. And here also you can see that Nadal is going to run and track down this ball here, and let's see what happens in the next shot. And if you see the next shot, now Nadal did get to the ball and was able to play a defensive stroke. But if you go back to the previous screen, you can see that because Nadal was able to get to the ball and Djokovic didn't come forward to make a volley, because Nadal's return was short, Djokovic had no option but come forward. And now you can see Djokovic is sort of in a awkward situation because the ball has kept low because of Nadal's slice, reach and the work on the ball that he put as a defensive shot. So the ball hasn't got up too much, and it has become really difficult for Djokovic to attack. And you can see here he has not, he's not bending down that much to uh, make the ball go up, and that is what will happen right now. So the ball will be hitting the net. And if you see this point, what inference? I mean, there are a lot of examples like this, but the main point that you have to that you get from watching this particular screen is that Djokovic in his early days was not coming to the net as many times as he should have, and because of that, he was not able to close points specifically against Nadal. And because Nadal gets most of the balls back onto the court, it made very sort of awkward situation for Djokovic to be standing here in the middle of the court when definitely he doesn't like to come forward. So now all he sometimes he looked confused as to what he needs to do from here, and he ended up losing the points. Now, over the years, Djokovic has improved his volley and also his approach to the net. So, right now, if you see his current game, whenever he gets a chance against Nadal or Federer, he definitely comes to the net and tries to finish off the point. Earlier in his career, he was not doing this, and that is why he lost a lot of points, a lot of important points against Nadal because he just didn't know, when to come to the net and how to close the volley. So that is why, specifically on clay, he lost a lot of points because he was very good from the baseline. He was dictating the play, but then he was not coming forward and eventually making an unforced error. All right, so let's move ahead. And this is another clip from the same match, and this actually displays the defensive ability of Nadal. So here I'll try to explain what happens. Now, Djokovic has hit a very good forehand, a very angled forehand that has, brought Nadal outside the double tram line that you can see here. Now, Nadal doesn't have too many options from here, because if he gets the ball, even if he gets the ball flat to any portion of this court, Djokovic is right up there. Now, the most probable shot for Nadal, I think, is just to get the ball back somewhere around here. And Djokovic has not much distance to cover, and he has the whole open court to hit. So, what does Nadal do? So, I think he created, or he developed a very good strategy here, and that is to hit a loopy backhand, as you can see this trajectory here. And what this does is, this firstly allows Nadal a lot of time to come back onto the court into a respectable position, so that he can at least still stay very well in the point, because it gives time. And secondly, because of his topspin, it also makes the ball bounce higher. So Djokovic doesn't have a very easy ball that he can attack. So maybe Djokovic has to either step back to get the ball at shoulder height or below shoulder height, which is the appropriate height for him. Else, Djokovic has to take this ball on the rise, which definitely makes it harder to hit the ball, because it's a clay surface, so the bounce is somewhat uneven, and it may give rise to an enforced error. So I think a very good strategy applied by Nadal here. But earlier in his career, like this screen, this is from 2008 Hamburg tournament, so you can see that even here, I mean, Nadal did hit this shot, but he was not using this shot very, very often. I mean, more often than not, he was just returning a flat backhand, and that actually gave chance to Djokovic, because Nadal was also developing his game back then. So he used this shot very rarely, but whenever he did use the shot, he was able to get something out of it. And you can see these three angles here. So even if Nadal gets the ball back here, if Djokovic is ready and in position, he can slam the ball cross court or maybe in the middle of the court. But if he gives the ball here straight back to Nadal, then Nadal will be back in the point. And because of the topspin that Nadal has given, Djokovic, if he goes here on his next shot, won't be able to give Nadal much of a deep ball, and Nadal might use his off forehand to attack here somewhere around here. So I think this is one of the strategy, and we'll talk more about this in the future screens, because I think right now, if you saw the French Open last month, you can definitely say that this is one of the main and important shots that Nadal used, is his chip backhand. So whenever Djokovic, went strong to Nadal's backhand, Nadal just used this shot, and then his strategy was that Nadal came inside the baseline, expecting that Djokovic, because of the topspin, would go back behind the baseline and then hit a relatively weaker shot as the next shot, and Nadal would be standing here. Now, if he wants, he can attack with his forehand. Else, he was also able to step, inside the court with his backhand, Nadal, and he was able to hit a very offensive backhand and hit it for a winner. Now, in the early days, and even in 2011, when Djokovic was playing at his best, Djokovic, if you gave him this sort of shot, a high loopy shot, he was able to run around his backhand and then attack with his forehand somewhere around here, and it would keep him in the point, very much in the point, and Nadal would have to, run and scramble again and again, and eventually Nadal would also make an error. But right now, because Djokovic is I'm not sure why, but he's not playing this sort of forehand much. He's playing it very rarely. This his off forehand, which is one of his most important shot actually, to run around his backhand and attack with his forehand. So right now, what it does is, because Djokovic likes to take this ball on his backhand instead of running around. So the one thing that Djokovic needs to do here is, either he needs to take the ball on the rise. If he does that, he plays a relatively slow speed shot, which gives Nadal, some time to get to the ball. And if Djokovic goes back behind the baseline, then of course he cannot hit a very offensive shot, and Nadal is well within the court, and he's ready to attack on his next ball. So now, if we move to the next screen, here also we can see one of the examples where Djokovic did come to the net after an aggressive shot. Here you can clearly see that Nadal is really out of position. He can't do much from there, and if Djokovic is coming to the net in this point, then he can hit a volley, and that is what he did here on this point. So if you watch the highlights, you can see that Djokovic hit a good volley and he won the point. Now, had Djokovic not come to the net, then I'm really pretty sure that this ball would have landed somewhere around the baseline and Nadal would have been, back here for the next ball and the point would still be going on. So I think that's what the players need to understand, like Djokovic and all the other players, that they need to be able to come to the net when they see Nadal struggling and they need to pick the obvious side. Now you can see here, because Nadal is struggling so much, I mean, whichever direction he hits the ball, it will either be a lob or it will be a relatively easy volley for Djokovic to hit, and I think that's what he did on this point. Now, this is one of the other screens, I think, that explains the same aspect. Now, this is from 2011 Madrid Open, and you can see here Djokovic's court position is very good. He's inside the baseline, but even then, Nadal's position is also not that bad. He's standing on his backhand side, on his Djokovic's backhand side for the cross court return. Now you can see here I have marked this one, two, three, and four. Now you can see here this marking has been done in the order of the most probable shot or the best shot. Now you can see here if Djokovic is not in his best form, then he has two options here: the option number one or option number two, which can keep him in the point, so that Nadal comes here and Djokovic can also come back to the middle of the court and the rally goes on. Now if Djokovic goes for the point number three, which is a relatively very tough shot, then of course it's sort of a winner for Djokovic because it will go like somewhere here. It will be really hard for Nadal to track. But then it's also a very difficult shot for Djokovic to hit because it's a very sort of acute angle that he needs to put in here, and it is difficult. Now because Djokovic was in his prime in 2011 and he was really confident, he's also a breakup here, so he can take a little more risk. So you would actually see in this video, if you see the highlights, you'll see that Djokovic actually went for this option number three and he hit a winner here. So even if he was not playing in his top form, I think even if it was like right around now, then Djokovic should have gone for like point number one or point number two here, the option one and two. But if you go for option four, then Nadal is absolutely standing here just to use his forehand down the line and just finish the point. And this is the same strategy that Djokovic or Nadal actually uses even today. So in all his construction of points, you can see Nadal is trying to push Djokovic out of this somewhere here, so that Djokovic eventually gives the ball to Nadal's forehand and then he can use the open court. Now, if Djokovic can keep the ball to here and alternate between this side and this side, then the point is open and very well he can win the point from there. But now since Nadal has also applied the other strategy, which is to chip the ball, on his backhand side, so that Djokovic cannot stand here inside the court. Djokovic has to stand back, so then he cannot attack. And if he plays a defensive shot somewhere around here, then Nadal would be, here and hitting the forehand on the offside. So I think that would be a very relatively easier shot for Nadal as well. Now, if you see the next screen here, I think this also gives you the same example. I think it's from 2011 Madrid again. Now you can see here what's happening. So Nadal has hit a good shot here, and because Nadal used to hit flat at that time. I mentioned this in my previous comments some time back that back then Nadal was not using this loopy backhand too much. He was using it rarely, and mostly he was hitting flat. So even in this case, the same thing happened. If you see the highlights, you can see that Nadal actually hit a flat shot here, the shot number one you can see, and Djokovic was right in position in the slot. It was in the slot for him to just bang a winner in this line number two you can see. But if Nadal was playing this match today, because now he has sort of perfected the loopy shot, you could see that Nadal would have kept this shot with the loop, and it would have given Nadal more time to reach somewhere around here. And then Djokovic, even though first of all he would not be able to hit such a flat and aggressive shot because of Nadal's topspin and the loopy backhand chip, and then Nadal would have got enough time to come back to the middle of the court and save this point. Now you can see this one clip is from one of the French Open matches. It's 2013. Now here you can see the most. I mean, there's one very specific strategy that Nadal uses against everybody. I would say whether it is Djokovic or Federer, it's a single hander or it's a double hander. Against everyone, Nadal uses this strategy, and this strategy is to somehow go to the opponent's backhand and somehow open the court from there. So I think here also you can see the same thing now because the ball has bounced very high. You can see it's coming right around shoulder for Djokovic. Now what options does he have? Now Nadal is prepared and standing. See, he's standing way here because he knows because of his high and loopy shot, Djokovic will find it really difficult to hit the ball here, even though that's the best option for him. But because of the high bounce, it's really difficult for Djokovic to hit the ball somewhere here. The other option Djokovic has is to go around somewhere here, so that even though Nadal will still have the upper hand in the point, because Nadal can easily run around, come here, and then attack with his off forehand or an inside in forehand. But still, it gives some time for Djokovic to come back here, and also it's not that easy for Nadal to hit to pinpoint here. But the wrong option that you can see here, and that is what Djokovic unfortunately picked on this point. In reality, you could see that Djokovic will hit here, and Nadal is right about standing here, just waiting to hit in the open court. And this is what Nadal's weapon is, and this is what the all the players need to avoid at any cost. Because if you are trying to, play it cross court because of the high bounce, it's basically point over if Nadal is in good form, and that is what is the problem. So I think the options that Djokovic has here is either to go somewhere around here. If the ball is too high for him, maybe he can slice the ball and then come back here, so that at least it gives him some chance to stay in the point. And then Nadal, uh, although he hits a very good shot to the low balls, even then Nadal would have to hit it perfectly, and it gives at least 50% chance to Djokovic to win the point. But giving the ball in the direction of this red line is basically just getting the point over, and giving the point to Nadal, and that's what happened. So if you see the next screen, you can see what happened actually. So Nadal hit the off forehand as we mentioned, and Djokovic could not come to that point. And because it was a 15 all or 30-15 in the third set, so it's a first game of the third set. It's a very important game, and that's a huge tactical error. Even though the shot was difficult, but this for Nadal, it's he's when he's in good form, he's always ready to play this shot. Now, again, as I talked about the loopy backhand, you can clearly see an example here. Now, Djokovic has hit a very good angled shot here on his forehand, and Nadal is outside the double tram line. He's struggling. He's back behind the baseline, but then he uses this loopy shot here. Now, because Djokovic was playing really well, only option that he has to hit to counter this loopy shot is to run around his backhand, because this loopy shot provides more time for Nadal. But the negative part is it also provides more time for Djokovic to maybe set up to hit whatever shot he wants. And I think in his prime, Djokovic was able to run around his backhand and take this ball on his forehand and put the ball somewhere around here with his forehand, so that Nadal has to keep running from here and here to there, and then Djokovic has the chances to dictate. On the other hand, if Djokovic somehow tries to stay here and hit a backhand, by the time Djokovic hits the backhand, Nadal would be somewhere here and ready to attack or ready to counter the next ball. So you can see on the next screen, Djokovic did actually run around his backhand on the next shot, and he did hit a very aggressive forehand, and that was a winner, of course. And you can see Nadal is not, even if he runs down, it will not be easy for him to catch the point. Now another option here. So now we will be explaining the same strategy that Nadal has. So here you can see Djokovic is almost inside the court, but you can see because of Nadal's angle, Djokovic doesn't have many options here, because if he hits the ball straight to Nadal, even if he hits it very hard or loopy or anything, Nadal is very much prepared to hit the ball in the open court. That is the actual position that Nadal wants to have his opponents each time on each point, because this opens the whole court for Nadal even without taking too many risks, because the previous shot that Nadal has hit here is of course a loopy simple forehand cross court, and it's not also that much deep, because you can see Djokovic is inside the court, so it's a sort of a short forehand, but because of its angle and topspin, it still has the height, and it has the angle that it has made Djokovic go outside the the singles lines here. And now you can see the options that Djokovic has. He has like three options here. One is to go to this shot. I think this is the best option. Then the toughest options is to go for this angle. Now this is a really tough option, because if it's a 40 love point, then maybe Djokovic can try this option, but otherwise the safe option would be either to hit the ball here. If the ball is too high, then Djokovic can maybe use a slice, a quick slice, a short slice, not a loopy slice, but a flat slice, so that uh, it can at least give him some time to come back. And the red shot is of course the killer shot for him, because Nadal is ready. Now, here is another example of how Nadal, is very good with his defense. Now, what Nadal has done here, he was struggling in this point, and he has hit a really short cross-court forehand, and that has made Djokovic, that has actually forced Djokovic to come forward, and now Djokovic is sort of thinking what to do here. Now, what he does is he goes for a drop shot here, and because the drop shot now it looks here that Nadal is back behind the baseline, so maybe he'll not be able to track this down. That's true. If the drop shot is very good, then it will be really hard for Nadal to track it down. Even if he tracks it down, Djokovic has to come here and maybe he can save the point from there. But what happens in reality is that Djokovic hits the drop shot, but it's not a perfect one. It's still a good drop shot, but it's not perfect. And Nadal, because now Nadal can see here the grip has changed. Djokovic is looking to hit a drop shot. Nadal is ready. He'll be sprinting there, and then in reality, he finishes the point with a down the line winner, Nadal, with his backhand. So I think with Nadal, if you want to hit a drop shot, if it's a 40 love point, then maybe you can go for it. But if it's a very important point, then the drop shot needs to be perfect. But in this scenario, Djokovic has a lot of options right now. He's inside the court. So either he can wait for the ball to come down a little bit, and then he can go to this shot here, and then he can come forward to hit a volley, just cover the cross court, because Nadal most of the time goes cross court with his backhand when he's struggling, and he can hit the ball somewhere around here with his backhand passing shot. So if Djokovic can cover this side, I think he can still win this point or be in this point. And the next option would be to hit a drop shot here, just so to change the direction of the ball, and Nadal needs to travel this far, and maybe it can give some more chances to Djokovic. But I think the drop shot is a good option here, but it has to be perfect. That is the problem. So if Djokovic wants to play safe, maybe he can go to this point and then come to the net. Now, one more example. I think this specific example is not for the shot primarily, but I think this example shows that if you don't take your chances against Nadal, then he definitely can come back, and he has done it like multiple times. So here you can see it's from US Open 2013. You can see it's the third set. Djokovic is already up a break, and then he's like got another break point to go double break up. And here he has a simple shot, Djokovic, a relatively simple shot, but he hits it cross court and he hits it long. And this is the point that changes the whole dynamics of the match, because then Nadal gets back to 2 all. And then again at 4 all, Djokovic has like three break points. It's love 40. And then Nadal still saves them. And then he wins the 4 set 6-1 and finishes the match and wins the Grand Slam in the US Open 2013. So I think the point here is that Nadal does give you chances, but if you are not able to take them, then it's really difficult for any player to finish the match, because Nadal never goes away, and when he gets out of these situations, then he actually starts playing really well, and he doesn't give anything away after that. Now, this one example that we are seeing is the same that we already discussed, but this time it's not Djokovic, it's Federer here. but the concept is the same. Now Nadal, as I mentioned, always wants the opponents to be in this specific position. Now he has Federer in this position. Now you can see Federer is trying to hit a backhand here. Now what options does he have? Now I think the only options that he has is to go either flat somewhere around here with his backhand, or maybe a loopy backhand, or maybe a slice, or somewhere around here in the middle. Now what he does is he hits the backhand, but it's somewhere around here. Nadal is almost waiting. Now you should also remember the score. So it's not visible here, but Nadal, it's the first set, and Nadal is already up like 5-3, and Federer is serving to stay in the set. It's like 15-30. So you can see the mindset of Nadal. So Nadal at this point is trying to finish the game, is trying to hit a winner. And if you give Nadal this sort of point, now he's not trying to stay in the point. So he'll definitely go for this winner. And that is a strategical mistake. That is a mistake from the mindset, I think, because when Nadal is up a break and the opponent is serving to stay in the set, Nadal will always try to be more aggressive and somehow finish this game, somehow take more risks. So in this scenario, I think the opponent has no option to take risks himself and maybe use this shot here so that he stays in the point. But in reality, what happens is Federer hits a cross court backhand here, Nadal is up and ready here, and then he hits the forehand in the open court, and the point is over. And he does go on to break a second time and win the set 6-3. So I think this one is a sort of a strategical mistake that Djokovic and Federer sometimes do. Now we understand that it's a high bouncing ball. It's not an easy shot to hit down the line, but I think they can use the slice as well as they can use a loopy shot, or maybe run around the backhand. If the shot is slow, they can run around the backhand if the shot is loopy from Nadal. But I think that's the only option. If they hit a cross court backhand, if Nadal is also sort of it's a 30 all game, it's Nadal serve, then maybe Nadal will not go for this winner. But if it's any other scenario, if it's a normal scenario, definitely each time Nadal will go into this open court and the point is over. He does not miss that shot so often. So I think that is what a change needs to be there in the strategy of all the players. And if you see here again the same thing, so you can see it's the fourth set in the French Open 2014, I think, and Djokovic has hit a backhand here. Now you can see the same thing. Nadal wants his opponents to be in this position. Djokovic has hit a backhand incorrectly, or I should say not the right option. It's right in the slot for Nadal, even though it's sort of just very deep in the baseline, but Nadal is ready and he'll hit this shot and he'll just finish the point. Whereas Djokovic was inside the court, so it's not like he was struggling back behind the baseline. So Djokovic should have gone to this for this option, but he instead went for this option, and it's Djokovic's serve. So definitely Nadal is looking uh, to take risks. There is no pressure on Nadal on Djokovic's serve, so it's the first point. Definitely Nadal will go for a winner here, and he actually makes it in reality as well. Now, in this screen, we are seeing Dominic Thiem against Nadal. So here you can actually see what I was talking about. So if Thiem, now you can see it's Nadal's serve, and Thiem is has a lot of chances here. It seems like it's 15-30, and Thiem can definitely take this set. So now if Thiem, it's such a high ball for Thiem. It's above shoulder height, and he's also in the air, almost trying to jump in the air to get this ball. Even then, I think if he goes for this shot, Nadal is almost ready to hit it to the open court. But Thiem, because of his great backhand, his great ability to hit with a lot of topspin, he has like two options here. Either he can go for a loopy sort of backhand, a flat backhand, or else he can go for a slice as well. Both the options are there for him. I think in this option he went for a backhand or slice. I'm not sure. Let's see on the next screen. Right. So now you can see he in this shot he goes for a slice. Now you can see Nadal is standing here, and you can see Thiem he's using a slice. Now his court position, if you see his court position here, is back behind the baseline. So it's not a very good position to play a slice. I mean, it's definitely not a drop shot here, but I think that's one of the options. So if the players are trying to sort of avoid the specific strategy that Nadal has to hit on the open court. I think this is a good option. What it does is because Thiem is playing the slice, first of all, it will give a lot of time to Thiem, for Thiem to come somewhere around here and be prepared for the next shot. And if the ball stays around somewhere here, which actually happened, then Nadal has to run around his backhand and he has to hit a perfect shot right around here. Now, since the score line is a little bit tentative for Nadal, so you can see it's 15-30. Thiem is just 2 points away from the set. It will not be easy for Nadal to hit a perfect shot, and that is what happened. So if you see the next slide, what happened is, if you see the highlights, you can see that Nadal did go for this shot. He ran around his backhand and he went for this shot, but he missed by some margin, and it was 15-40, and then Thiem was able to close out the set. So I think apart from the strategy, you also need to see the scoreline and understand the mindset of Nadal. If you are up in the set, if you are 15-30, you have chances, then maybe you can hit this type of shot where Nadal has to hit a perfect shot to stay in the point. And if he does it, well and good. But Nadal is also a human, and he sometimes makes these sort of mistakes on big points. Maybe either he won't go for such a winner, or if he goes for such a winner, there are chances that he might make a mistake. So as the opponent, you can take the opportunity and hit sort of this shot. But if Thiem would have gone to this position, then Nadal would have been ready. And even if Nadal would not have gone for a winner, still Nadal would have been in a very good position, because that is what he wants to have, this sort of an exchange where Thiem can hit a cross court backhand to Nadal's forehand, and then Nadal can eventually take control of the point. But Thiem did well here. He used the slice down the line and he changed the pattern, and that's what helped him here. So now we are to the end of the towards the end of the video, and I think we discussed how the strategies for Nadal have been throughout his career. So mostly he uses the one specific pattern just to take the opponent out of the court, uh, using his cross court forehand, the angled forehand. Then he somehow constructs the point and uses his forehand to hit the ball in the open court and then finish the point. And for Djokovic, we discussed how the game has changed. He has now been able to come to the net, finish some of the points. Now, the thing that we haven't seen in a while from Djokovic is him running around his backhand and hitting a pretty aggressive forehand, off forehand, that he used to constantly do when playing against Nadal in the year 2011 and also previous to those. Maybe it's the movement on clay that Djokovic is struggling through. As we already saw, he was struggling with his movement. He was slipping a lot. Maybe that is the factor. But I think if he needs to succeed against Nadal, I think that is, for any player, the off forehand, the inside out forehand is a really important shot, because Nadal, if he goes for his backhand loop shot, then the only option that the opponent has is to attack to run around his backhand and attack on the forehand. So the strategies to be applied, I think, are the use of backhand down the line more often. If any of the opponent is playing against Nadal, if they don't have a good backhand down the line, then it's almost impossible for them to win against Nadal, especially on clay. Now, when Nadal chips a high loopy backhand, then as I mentioned, you need to run around it and use your forehand. If you're not able to do it, eventually the point is going to go in favor of Nadal, and we have seen a lot of examples here. Now, when we go to the net, one of the things that we discussed yesterday as well was around the fact that players usually try to do a fake volley. They just go to the net and then they do the split step way behind the net actually, and then they don't have much options to cover the volley. So I think the appropriate option here would be to get as close to the net as possible and then cover the obvious or the easy side that the opponent might go to. And then if they go to the difficult side and this are still able to make the shot, then it's you can just congratulate them and be prepared for the next point. Now, we already discussed that Djokovic has to hit the inside out forehand. That is a very important shot for him. And then another option that we didn't discuss is going deep in the middle of the court with a slice or even a normal shot, so that it gives more time for someone like Djokovic or the other players to come back to the court. We saw Federer apply this tactic a lot against Del Potro, because Del Potro had such a deadly forehand and such a strong backhand and forehand shots, powerful shots, that Federer thought that instead of giving them any sort of angle, He'll just bang the ball back on the middle of the court, but deep, so that Del Potro or any other player doesn't get the room, uh, enough room to get prepared, get set up for the shot, and free their arms. So I think that's also good strategy if you want to cramp the opponent for space. I think going in the middle of the court, but deep in the middle of the court, is also a good option here. So, guys, we discussed all of these options, and I think a lot of things have changed over the years in the game of Nadal and Djokovic. Nadal has improved his net game a lot. He has also improved his backhand. Now he can also be aggressive with his backhand. I think the most important addition in Nadal's game is his backhand loop shot. I think he used it a lot of times, even against Schwartzman in the semi-final. You can see that, and because Schwartzman is not that tall, that shot did a lot of damage. That helped Nadal to be in the point even when Schwartzman was really playing well. So I think if the opponents need to beat Nadal at French Open, I think that is one thing that they need to have a clear answer of. If Nadal uses the loopy backhand, then they need to be able to run around their own backhand and hit an aggressive forehand, because Nadal's only sort of aim uh, with that shot is to provide Nadal a lot of time to get back into the court. And if the opponent is, okay to hit a backhand on that shot, then it will definitely not be a strong backhand, and Nadal will have chance to step into the court and hit a shot, hit a winner from there. And I think for Nadal, I think in terms of strategy, earlier in the career, Djokovic was hitting a lot of good angled cross-court backhands because Nadal didn't have this loopy backhand shot available in his arsenal at that time, but now he has it, and that is why he has been able to beat Djokovic a lot of times on clay post 2011. And I think also Nadal has improved his net game, so he's able to come to the net as well. His serve has also improved. So I think, guys, this was the discussion. Some of the tactics we discussed, what Djokovic applies and what Nadal applies. Do let me know in the comments how you feel about this video, and do you see any other pattern that I have missed out which both these players use against each other. So just let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching.